Barbie?
Well, as I said earlier, my name is Barbra Webber, and I live in Hazelnut Grove. Me and my husband have been here since last February, so we're right on our anniversary of a year. Um, and I will just say that we started suffering housing insecurity years ago and ended up being on the streets for 5 consecutive years. And I'm in my community, I'm a very actually pretty successful person. I co-founded a jobs program in a low barrier jobs program, and I've been an advocate for houseless issues staunchly since 2017. What Hazelnut Grove has done for me is that I suffer from a brain injury that is a lesion in my speech centers, and I've had many goals to recover from that. And one of this is to go back into the workforce 100%. And by the end of the year, I'll be able to do that. But I have to say that the stability that Hazelnut Grove offered me is the reason that I'm able to do that. Once I wasn't fighting the day in and day out survival of living on the sidewalks or living in the woods or living in a vehicle, I could settle down and focus. And I had a place, to have a little personality, to have knickknacks. My husband redid the entire porch. We've created a life here, and um, as a situation, we don't say that this situation is for everybody. This is a self-governed village, and that also means that you know you you we don't depend on social services here. And as we do advocate for people who ever needs any help, um it's even if somebody needed services here, we support each other in going out and getting help. And this community here is basically what kind of saved my life near the end of my that last 5 years. It was getting tougher and tougher, and then in the midst of the pandemic, having a place to safely to be. I am so incredibly grateful that I got here right before the beginning of that. And as we're still in an extreme case right now, and we've lost so many lives in the United States, I don't see how shutting the village down helps the matter at all. Um, you know, uh, the St. John's location can only house 19 people, and Do Good has said that the priority is going to be for people that are suffering homelessness in St. John's. Well, if we all moved here from that village, we wouldn't have any room for anybody else. And so you're taking away very needed beds for not just for us personally, but for the entire community of Portland. Um, and so I don't think that giving us or moving us is going to help in any way, shape, or form. I guess the next thing is that we go and we present the petition to the mayor and or to Dan Ryan, and you'll be getting more details about that. The day-to-day living continues here at Hazelnut Grove, and we continue to hope that our houses are not going to be taken from us. Um, it sucks that we couldn't have this have this press conference in person to where you could see what the life like is generally like here. Although we are sorry, you guys, I keep getting interrupted in the background. Um, well, we continue to fight, and we continue to pray that we don't have to worry about these things, especially during a pandemic. But even further than that, I just want to say that individual governed villages are a very important piece of what's going to continue to they're a very important piece in solving the housing crisis. The one thing that's different about Hazelnut Grove from the one villages that are being put up around the city is that this is what you call an intentional community. People have to come in and say that they want to be here and meet people, and so there's an element of safety that is even more so with this community. We're very close here. We do lots of things together, and we also appreciate our personal autonomy. So I want to thank everybody for coming, and hopefully you all join us on the 1st when we deliver this petition. Thank you.
Let the whole community know that
unhoused people, tiny housed people, and their allies all want to see self-governance be allowed to continue. We don't see people not living in traditional houses as pawns to be shipped around and pushed around by a system that doesn't accord them full humanity. Yep.
Barbie, I actually have one last question for you. And I really want to ask you this question to close out our day today. Barbie, you've told me the differences between a self-governed village and a social service managed village. You and I have talked about that quite a bit. And I just want you to really make it clear to everyone watching today, what are the differences between a self-governed village like Hazelnut Grove and one managed by social services? Go ahead and take us to school on that.
Well, even in the self-governed villages, there's layers of self-governance. Okay, I'll be more specific. Like Hazelnut Grove is ran by a community agreements, and it's also what you call an intentional community. There's a way the way to get into the Grove is you have to come to so many GAs and then be voted in by the members. And then you're on a probationary period after that. There are other self-governed model villages that are like kind of have overseers. So a lot of the people that are living in the villages have say so over like certain things, but not everything. So there's the Hazelnut Grove, there's like full autonomy, and then you have ones that are kind of the new model that is coming out right now is they say that they're self-governed, and they in some ways are, but they're still a layer of somebody who makes it the ultimate decision. We're here, we make the ultimate decision. There's been a lot of things said about, and then about social service villages have wraparound, what they call wraparound services. They offer you mental health. They offer you, drug and alcohol counseling. They offer you other kinds of services kind of in that arena. And I can say emphatically that that's not everybody needs wraparound services. And the president of the Overlook Neighborhood Association has touted over and over again how it's awful that we don't have wraparound services. Well, we're not in need of that, although we do recognize that some people do need other kinds of services. It's just not provided in this type of setting. And that's why there needs to be more housing options, more permanent housing options. And to me, and to a lot of the people that live here, this is permanent housing option. I don't want to ever live in an apartment. This is the way that feels comfortable for me. Not only do I have this support of the community, which is different than living in an apartment. It's like a little neighborhood here. It's like anybody else's neighborhood. We go through. It's just kind of in a microcosm of that.
Mm-hmm.
But self-govern, it's basically we have the autonomy to make the decisions about who lives here, what is who does security, what happens if somebody doesn't do their shift, and and we organize together to get the jobs and the chores done, which obviously in other villages that responsibility goes to whatever provider is responsible for that. All the mowing of the grass and the chopping of the firewood and the getting of the food is all done by the villagers for themselves.
Mm-hmm.
So, and coming from being outside and surviving to coming to here, this is very empowering because I appreciate when people donate things. I'm not trying to say that I don't, but there's a difference when you make an impact in your own survival than it is when somebody's helping you. And from my perspective, it's done me a whole but much more good for me to make decisions on my own and to care for myself. And so, that's kind of the difference. If that's good there.